Welcome to Mind Matters with Sandy and Kathleen. Hasn't it been a while since we've done this, Sandy?
Really? I hadn't noticed.
Something got in the way. I don't know what it was. What was it again? The pandemic.
Oh.
That's right.
I must have missed it. So it is, and I think that Kath would say this, we're both rather excited today. And I know Kath's going to drop something on me, so that it's going to be exciting too.
It's a mystery topic. It's not a mystery for me, and it's not that
it is for me.
The subject matter is not a mystery for you, but the topic that we're going to discuss is. But first of all, I want to welcome everybody back and say I hope you're surviving the pandemic well. We are, despite the fact that it's been a bit difficult to manage with clients and everything. Still can't see anyone face to face at the moment, but we're managing it, aren't we?
Yeah, I miss a 3D. So I miss the 3D person that, you know, I'm pretty sure Kath has been. I've been busier than I've ever been in my career. And yeah. I've been doing this for a very long time, and it's sustained, and it's, you know, there's people that are actually doing amazing stuff out of this.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm very humbled to watch that transformation, you know, under stress.
Mm-hmm.
This is because what we're seeing is, you know, when marriages break up, well, we're sort of seeing, you know, the world break up with each other. So we're under stress, and it brings out the problems that perhaps are underlying, but then it brings out resilience and imagination and
adaptability.
And yeah, all of those things. So I am very humbled to say that I have seen some amazing stuff come out of this. Absolutely. In incredibly positive ways that may not have ever happened for people, because they were, you know, sort of under the guise of so many other things that I know it's really sad, but I've seen some incredible stuff and really positive things.
You're seeing the silver lining for the cloud.
I am a bit of a Pollyanna, I know that.
So would you like to know what today's topic is?
Oh, yes, please, Kath.
So the reason that I did this is to show how down to earth and real Sandy and I both are, because I'm just going to throw a topic at her and we're just going to talk about it for half an hour. And she has no clue what it is.
And I might leave.
You might leave. No. I can tell you, this is a topic that you love, that a half-hour discussion on this will not be enough, and that you will curse me for not breaking it up into parts. But anyway, we're going to do this. So today's topic is...
It's all right. I was going, is this parts?
No, it's not part, no. Well, it can be. Understanding your relationship with food.
Okay.
You're supposed to look happy at this. This is something that you enjoy.
I am. No, it takes me in a lot of different directions.
See, I told
a lot of different directions.
What did I just say? That yes, exactly. Because food is different things for different people. And this is not about weight loss. This is not about us sitting here going, you should go on a not a starvation diet. What's the word I'm looking for? A fasting diet, or fasting, or a high protein, this is not about the food that you eat. It's about
a keto diet, or a 3 days on, 3 days off. None of that. Okay.
No, both Sandy and I have had our battles with weight, which has been born out of relationships with food. Correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Where we are. So and we're not coming to you from a place of, look at us, we're size 8 perfect bikini models with, you know, well, I am. No, believe me, nobody wants to see this in a bikini, but
Okay, go from authenticity. So I have actually put on about 4 to 5 kilos in this area because I've literally been stationary in this chair working with people.
Well, so your client's fault. That there goes deflecting blame. That's fine. Go on.
That's right. It's their fault. And it had nothing to do with the amount of sugar overload that I've been doing. But at one point in my life, I was 110 kilos. And I'm only 5'1". Like there was a lot of me.
Yes.
A lot of me. And I know for me, the transition is that I was a new mum and I'd stacked on the weight at that point. I was always really fit even throughout that. And my transition into health and a healthier relationship with food came through fear. Because I had gestational diabetes, there was diabetes that ran in the family, and I knew that I was at high risk. And I didn't want to do that to me first, because it always has to be you first.
That's right.
And I didn't want to be that mum that couldn't do things with their child. Yep. So and that to shed those number of kilos, it was many years.
You lost 60 odd kilos, wasn't it? 60. Yep. So that's substantial weight loss. Like, we're not talking about.
That was half of me.
Half of you. And in addition to that, you have not put that back, even though you're sitting here saying you've put on 4 or 5 kilos, you have not gone back anywhere near that weight gain, not at all. And that's the place that I come from as well. So I was 5'7", or 5'8", I think. I've shrunk a bit. I'm 5'7" now. I've lost, an inch. But I was 100.
It's fat on your feet.
Yeah, that's it. It's gone. 106.6 kilos. So I'm some 34 kilos under that now. So, and again, we're talking about 9 years since I lost that weight. And I did that. I actually did it with Duramine. So that was my thing. And apparently when you take Duramine.
Did you?
Yes. So apparently when you take, not all of it. So apparently when you take Duramine, the thing is they say people balloon back to where they were. I didn't. I came off it at 79.5 kilos, and then settled at 82. And then not long after that, I fell pregnant, and I went up to about 94, I think, when I was pregnant. And then I'm now down in the 70s, like going to the 70s. And so I've actually lost more weight, and it was hard. It wasn't easy. I've lost more coming down off Duramine than what I was on it. So, and again, relationship with food. I look at food differently than what I did. I focus on how much I eat and why I'm eating it. And so that's what I wanted to talk about.
Yeah. So, and it's interesting how both of us have transitioned into it, because it's interesting. I don't consciously ever think about food. Like I don't think about my portions. Like, I know that you still do a lot of that, whereas I don't think about what I eat. I don't think about what's on my plate. So it is, I suppose, from doing a lot of self-hypnosis and years, like it's been, like I've been in that space for a lot longer than you.
Yes.
So I don't, the fact that I don't like the fact that I put on a few kilos. Like, I very rarely weigh myself. It's just that I'm sort of feeling a bit like, oh, maybe so. I very rarely weigh myself. So the relationship that I have with food is food is life. I love food. Love food.
Oh, same here.
And I'm a
big fan of food.
Yeah.
Big fan of food.
Yeah.
And that's where I think the relationship, sorry to interrupt you, is a lot of people think that that's about not eating as much, whereas we know relationship with food is about how you feel about eating that food, because you can have an eating disorder and have a bad relationship with food and be way too underweight. You can see food replacing love. You can use it as an emotional crutch. You can use it as a socialization thing. There's so many different things that can encompass in a relationship with food.
All right, let's go from the relationship of food. And for many cultures, food is family and it's a way of showing love. Okay, so, and of course, being in the society, I mean, we're so lucky in Australia to have such amazing food. We have beautiful fresh produce. We have amazing food, like just gorgeous food in Australia. And so, you know, growing up as families, especially younger, like when I'm going back, I think that some of those dynamics are starting to change because of social media. But, you know, sitting around doing family dinners, that was a way of showing love. You know, everyone had put in and you'd do special things and birthday parties, weddings, da da da. So this is all wrapped up in that. So within that, you know, this is one of the ones that I know that I knew before I had my daughter. So with her, and it's about sugar and what is a special food. And so I was really aware of what is a treat. So with her, I never presented chocolate as a treat. I never presented sweets as a treat and all the rest, because she had some really strong reactions to sugar, like really strong. I saw her one Easter and I knew that I had to actually have a talk to her about it. And I said, honey, you can have that food whenever you like, because it's not a treat. Look at what it's done to you. And even as a little taker, she sort of took it on board. Yeah. Like she actually got it. And, you know, the things that we go, if you're a good boy, I'm going to give you a chocolate. What's that?
Yeah.
I mean, what is that?
That's right. And I think a lot, like you talk about like portion sizes and how I'm very conscious of, do I need to eat that much? So that's understanding how much your body, like what enough is rather than too much. And sampling things as well. So I'll give you an example here. So for those in Australia that love motorsport, last weekend was Bathurst. And in my household, we watch it, we cater the day. So it starts off with bacon and egg muffins for breakfast, and then we do a spread of finger food for lunch, and then there's desserts. We don't eat desserts normally in this house. It might be an ice cream and a cone. Sometimes it's some mango, some tinned mango. My child loves tinned mango. But we don't generally eat dessert. So we do dessert. I don't know why we've deemed Bathurst as dessert day. So we have dessert and nobody eats dinner because we've had that much. So I put photos every year of my catering on, you know, of our big Bathurst.
I did actually see one that looked, I don't know that I could say quite what it looked like, because
the jelly.
Yeah, I'm just going to say, to me, it did not look appetizing.
I didn't think, because I don't eat jelly to start off with, but it was milk jelly. So I was making red and white because we're Fairwelling Holden. So the only way to make white jelly is to make milk jelly. I don't eat dairy products. So I look at it and go, oh, I couldn't stomach that in a million years. But the boys loved it because they love milk. So it's it's horses for courses. But I put up the photos, and I've been talking to a friend who I'm certain will listen to this podcast or watch this video, who's on a journey to change her relationship with food. As I keep telling her, this is not a diet. This is not weight. This is your relationship with food. And she, much like you talk about, what you were just saying before about how you don't think about food, and that I'm at a different stage, she's at a different stage again. So she can't have items in the house that will trigger her to overeat, whereas I can, and I can stop at a couple of something or a small amount of something. She's not there yet. And I say to her, well, this is, I'm 9 years or 10, whatever I am, 8 or 9, 10 years, somewhere along that, into this. So I said I was like that at the beginning. And sometimes there's things that I will go, I need to eat more of that. I just need it. I want it. I'm having it. So I put out this spread and I said to her, oh, I've overeaten. Bathurst Day, I've overeaten. And the automatic assumption is that I've eaten everything that was in those photos. But I don't. And that's where my relationship with food comes into it, as I look and go, I could have gone along and had all this, but I don't eat breakfast. So I had I've got
Cat.
I know. Well, we were discussing this. So, breakfast is the most important part of the day, was developed by breakfast food companies, but that's part of I have a histamine intolerance. So there's something for everyone to Google. So I have issues with food. So if I don't eat in the morning, it makes my histamine levels drop a bit further, and then I can tolerate food for the rest of the day. So that's part of the reason I do it. But they boys had, like, I can show photos of bacon and egg muffins, but that doesn't mean I ate it. But it also doesn't mean that I couldn't cook one for me and eat a quarter of it or eat a half of it. I don't have to eat the whole thing to enjoy it. So that's where mindful eating comes in, which I know, Sandy, that's why I said, I know you'd love this topic, that I can mindfully eat. If I can't eat wheat, so it's a bad example, but I can make an egg and bacon muffin sans muffin for me and eat a small amount of it, and then Doug shove the rest of it off to my partner and enjoy what I've eaten, but not overeat it. And same with what we had for lunch. I ate what I felt was right for me and the right amount for me. I didn't go through all of it, and I had a very, very small amount of dessert. So it might look like huge amounts, but I've worked on that relationship. If I don't need to eat everything that's there.
Like Kath and I know that Kath and I, obviously spent, time together. And I mean, an average food portion for me in a city is about the size of the palm of my hand. If I overeat, I overeat the palm, like that amount of food in any one sitting. I don't, food consumption is, I think as a society overeat. Like, when I go to restaurants, and literally without fail, I have an entree because I cannot eat mains. I cannot eat that volume of food. It just floors me. So when I think about what I eat, and I will eat everything because I don't have an intolerance. I find bread a little bit hard. I get I get crampy and stuff with it. So it's more a choice for me with not eating sort of heavy flour based stuff. But if I wanted a bit of cake, I would have it. But the journey to where, as I sort of said, I'm at a different stage, and you are too. I know for you wouldn't even think about leaving food, because this is that message that we're given younger. Oh my God, there's people starving. The empowerment of actually making choices to leave food is incredible. Then it starts building also. Like, so you sit back and you go, because often you hear, oh, but I can't leave food on my plate. You go, why?
Because that's where indoctrinate, and I think that happens with children. And I often are at loggerheads with my partner over my 7-year-old's food consumption, that he will say, Mum, I'm full. And I just say, that's fine. And he walks away from what he's eaten. And my partner says, but he hasn't eaten this, and he hasn't eaten that, and he hasn't eaten this. And I say, maybe I'm offering him too much food. So I say that to people that they say, my child's a fussy eater and they won't eat this and they won't eat that. Perhaps you're serving them up too much. And if you're worried about the food wastage, serve up a quarter of what you normally would. It's not going to hurt them to then eat that, and might say, I want something.
Also, don't make them feel guilty for leaving it.
Just, it doesn't.
Okay, because that's part of that relationship, is to be able to, often, if we go out, which obviously has not happened for a very long time, but, I sit there, and if there's something on the menu that I particularly want, I'll look at my partner and I'll go, I'm going to order that, but he knows that he will get 3/4 of it, if not more, because I can't eat it all, and I won't. I just can't, because it makes me feel not nice.
Yeah, and being able to leave. I mean, some of the meals, you can go to restaurants and you get something that is an entree size and you pay a fortune for it. And other times you can go into a pub somewhere and you get this huge meal and pay nothing for it. It's that relationship is, I can eat as much as I need to, as much as I've enjoyed of it, without overfilling myself. And I often say to my partner, I want Charlie, our son, to be able to go and eat. We can all eat a 20-course meal. All of us are capable of eating a 20-course meal. It's how much of each, you would do it across 2 hours, how much of each course that we ate. If you ate a teaspoon of each of that, you would get through it and go, I've enjoyed this.
Yeah.
I've tried it. I've tasted it. That was amazing. I wouldn't eat that again. So you're sampling life and you come out of it going, I haven't overeaten. I've eaten and I feel like I've eaten, but I haven't gorged myself on anything. And it's being okay with doing that. And whether that be for someone that's underweight, overweight, used to it being a cultural or a family thing, or it's a different experience for them, or whatever it is, it's
Because
about.
there's a distinction. Sorry, and there's a distinction here that we're talking about also, and I think that we need to actually make that distinction, because we're talking about free will choices here, and bad relationships. We're not talking eating disorders. That's a whole different area. So I just wanted to put that out there for people, knowing that we're not talking eating disorders here. We're just talking about, and the transition, as you said, you've got a friend at the moment that you're working with that, has some shallow dog.
Yes, Toby, my psychic assistant, is hearing the lawn mowing going on outside. They have not mowed the lawns here until I decide to record a podcast. And then off they go.
That's all right. I was sitting here, and because my partner has, because this is my traditional day off, my partner's, we were putting up a fence beforehand. He's obviously gone, I've got an hour, I'm going to watch rugby, and I can hear him yelling in the background.
That's good.
Oh, that's great. But I did see Tones.
Can I just say, that's not going to top what happened to me. I was in session with a client and my partner walked into the room, thankfully not on camera, absolutely butt naked.
No that's hilarious.
No, to tell me something that was not related to his nakedness, something totally unrelated. He walked in and he just kind of went, do you know if we've got any more milk in the fridge? And I'm like, what are you? And I'm trying to.
Are you going? I'm in session.
I'm looking at my client and I'm going off camera, pulling faces. Yeah. And I said to him, what on earth? Like, I'm with a client. So I don't, So I think that him yelling at the rugby does not trump my naked jaunt my partner into, thankfully not on camera. There was no revealing of any nakedness, like naked bodies in my session. You'll be pleased. I'm not dealing with any additional ethical issues, legal, moral, or psychological damage issues from my client.
I'm very pleased to hear that.
I'm not doing well, but I don't matter.
All right, so we'll digress back to. I like the way we just do a little bit on the side here. But, so we're not talking eating disorders, but when I chose to shed kilos, I had to address food differently again. Yeah. So I knew that was a change in cadence, a change in relationship, and I knew that it was for the rest of my life. Like, I dislike words like diet.
Yes.
And almost because it sends subliminal messages of, desert food, eating leaves and, all this sort of stuff.
And giving
instead of actually.
Doesn't it? Like it immediately, when people say I'm on a diet, I can't eat that cake. I can't eat this cake. I can't eat that chocolate. I can't have dessert. I can't have ice cream because I'm on a diet. Whereas, I say, like I just said, you can have dessert. It's how much of it you have. So you can have what you enjoy, eat what you love. Just don't eat all of it in the whole world of that relationship.
Yeah, but if you've got someone, like for me, if I'm working with someone that has, obviously gross obesity, and both you and I have been there, we know that. There's no judgment here.
Well, speak for yourself. I wasn't grossly obese. No, I was, yes.
In clinical terms, you were. But the thing is that within that, for a health regime, because whenever I'm working with people, as I'm sure you do, you come from a health perspective for the rest of your life.
Yes.
Because to do a 6-month, 3-month 2-month jaunt to shed kilos, I'm all for it, because you need to start shedding kilos to create health.
The value.
And while you can do it, but that has to be the mindset of that is just the beginning of the relationship change. If I want to shed kilos and do it quickly, this is what I need to do. But when I reintroduce, I need to see my food differently. I can still love my food. I can still sit with my family. I can still enjoy it, but it's how you see it for the rest of your life. And it's a transitional thing a lot of time.
It definitely doesn't happen overnight. And I think that's why crash diets can be so harmful to people as well on that mental health level, that, like I said, you see a diet as denial. I'm denying myself these things. So you think if you do it for a short period of time, then you can go back to eating them. Whereas if you looked at it and went, I'm going to view it different. I'm never going to give these things up. I'm just going to give up the volume. So it's going to stay, this is going to be me, but a downsized portion of it. And I've got a client who said this to me, just not anything to do. She's not, weight loss is not an issue for her in any way. But she was saying that both her and her mother eat their meals off a side plate. And I thought, I do that now.
I do that.
It's something that, because if I dish up everybody's meal, because my partner often says to me, you eat so fast. And I'm like, no, I just don't eat as much. Right? So when you've got a quarter of the food and you eat slowly, you still finish a lot faster than somebody that's eating at a normal pace on 4 times the amount.
Guess what? I'm just going to blow you out of the water.
You're the slowest person in the world to eat with, I know.
I am
like
just painful.
Oh, you know when and there's the giant tortoises and they're munching their way through a salad. That's lunch with Sandy, in the nicest way.
Like, it's true though, because I'll have only that, but like I teach clients about mindful eating.
Yes.
Like even to experience your food in a different way, texturally. I'll sit back with a client and I'll go, do you like almonds, or do you like, I'll find out what they like. I love using grapes as an example. And I go, okay, close your eyes and we'll go into nice calm space. And I go, right, I just want you to pick up the grape, put it in your mouth, and then I get them to experience it, just really experience the grape. And then, ask questions about it. I usually get nods. I'll use little grapes so they can actually speak. I go, all right, now I want you to be really, really quiet. And I want you to think about the grape or the almond, whatever it is, in your mouth. And I want you to bite into it once. And then I usually talk the person through it. And I go, and usually that process that I'll go through with one grape or one almond or, one piece of apple, it doesn't matter what it is.
You like to use mandarins, I know that.
Yeah, I like mandarins. Mandarins are really good, just one piece. And just to start off with, feeling it. Like mandarin's great because you get the sensory things as well, it's all that sort of stuff. And you slow it down. I go, that, and I'm often at the end, I'll say, it's taking you 20 minutes to eat that grape. And the word back is usually, wow, I've never experienced a grape in that way. And I go, that's good. I said, I don't expect you to take and I don't do that. I'm just an incredibly slow eater. I probably talk a lot. But is that within that, especially when you've got complex flavors on your palate,
yes,
and stuff, I go, enjoy it. I say, even if it's one mouthful of each meal, stop. And I say, and go, just even if it's the first mouthful, just get it. Think about the texture, the feel, the explosion, where it hits you on the tongue.
How delicious
it is. Yeah, enjoy that.
Our viewers can do it now. Think about the one thing that because I was going to say before, we use language, we go, oh, I've been naughty, I had dessert. Thinking that that's a bad behavior. First of all, you're attaching a negative connotation to it. You say, I shouldn't do it. All right, so we'll go, I've been naughty, I've had dessert. You think about your most favorite dessert, and it's right in front of you, and you get a teaspoon of whatever that is right now, and you just sit there and you savor and imagine in your mind that smell and the taste and the texture and the feel of it, and it's not doing you any harm. You've had one teaspoon of it, and then you can move on to something else. The fastest way to failure is denying yourself the things that you love but had told yourself are naughty.
And the thing is that, as I say, even as you know, when I was using that example of what is that thing, are you treating yourself with crap?
Mm.
Why not create health? So instead of having the Toblerone mousse that you think is naughty, make conscious decisions about loving health.
Yeah,
it does, and then you don't see denial. But we've had it so ingrained into us that the Toblerone mousse, the camembert cheese, all these things are bad,
naughty.
bad,
It's all
and
about
all
my
the rest.
mother's care pack. My mother had surgery. My mum's had some quite complex surgeries and found herself housebound for long periods of time and pain and so on. And she was really down once. And so I headed off to the supermarket and I brought her a care pack of things she loves to eat. Now, if you had looked in the shopping basket and seen, you would have gone, oh, you're punishing her. What's wrong with this woman? But I got her a mango, a fresh mango, some fresh figs, some licorice, ginger beer. Like it wasn't anything, it wasn't a great chocolate cake. It wasn't, a family block of chocolate. It wasn't, I mean, there's sugar in all of those, there are various kinds of things. But the look on my mother's face when she opened that bag and saw fresh figs and dates.
I love figs.
Yeah, oh, my mother and figs. She was just like, all of her Christmases had come at once, and they brought her some dried ones as well. So constipation after the analgesics was no longer an issue. But she enjoyed every bit of that because that's her indulgent thing. Is she's eating what she loves, not what she thinks is naughty. It wasn't a punishment. It was more of I need to lift my spirits. I'm going to enjoy what I really love, which is a fresh mango cut into.
Yeah. And that's that transition again. Like, so I really think that you do transition. So when you see the Toblerone mousse, instead of seeing it as a treat, instead of seeing it as a naughtiness, just go, that's a part of what I enjoy. Perhaps if I want to shed kilos more, I might leave that for another time, but it's never out of my regime. But also the attachments of to treat someone with sugar. Is that really a treat? So and that sort of transition happens over years often if you really think about it. But as you rightly say, why not throughout that transitional time just go, food is food. It's how I see it. I can actually have my ice cream or my toast or whatever. I can have a piece and enjoy it. And then you think about, that addiction sort of thing where you can't stop. And it's what they've told themselves. And that's been overlaid. Oh, we can't leave stuff on the plate.
Got to eat it. Got to eat everything. I mean, I'm such
Yeah.
a boring person when it comes to beverages. So I can't tolerate, I used to be a green tea drinker. You'd never see me without a cup of green tea in my hand, but I found out that raises your histamine levels and I was having heart palpitations in the night and all sorts of stuff. So I drink, when people say, like, I've gone, and I don't, it's all mindset. I've gone to medical appointments and they've said, oh, how much do you normally drink a day? And I'll say, oh, as I think about tepid water. And I'll say, oh, I don't know, probably a couple of litres, somewhere between 1.5 to 2.5 litres. And what else do you drink for the day? And then I start to think about it and I go, okay, the only thing I drink is water. I either drink tepid water, boiled water, or sparkling water. So when I'm looking for a refreshing, soft drinky kind of thing, I drink sparkling water. And I don't even look or think about soft drinks. And it's that, like, it's effervescent, it's refreshing, it's cold, it's a hot day. I've had one of those. I see that as being a fantastic treat because I normally drink tepid water, so which I love my tepid water. And now only
when you're coming, I go, I'll put the jug on. Yeah. And it's like literally this is what I do with Kath. She gets here, I'll put the jug on, she's got her own cup, put in hot water, and then I put in cold water, so it's the right temperature.
I'm looked after. And Sandy's partner often gets into me about the fact that I've left some of my drink that he's lovingly made me. And it's, you know, he does a perfect cup of non-tea tea for me. Tea sans the tea I have. But that's, and I don't think about the fact that I don't drink. People go, how do you survive without coffee? And I'm like, I don't see it as a survival without it. It's just, I can't, I've actually gone back to, this will be news for you, I can have a half strength coffee now. So I have one a day.
Wait until you turn up here.
If I'm feeling good, I can have a half strength coffee, and that's a treat. Like, that's amazing for me. But I don't have it every day, and you know, I really enjoy it. I think, oh, I look forward to it. This is my half strength coffee. And I spend my time with it in the morning, and I you know, I virtually just praise this. Oh, look at this coffee, you know, it's great. It's because the rest of the time it's just going to be tepid, boiled or sparkling water, which I also
I wonder with that, Kath, like when we're talking about it, because we're talking about, you know, diets being regimes and not being able to, you know, what it evokes in the head, you know, of, you know, I'm going to be eating lettuce leaves for the rest of my, and you see this negativity about it.
Exactly.
And all the rest. And I'm thinking about what you're actually talking about now. And because you've got the histamine problems, you actually have to not have those things, because you have such body reactions. Like it's not nice to watch you.
No.
When, you know, I can see the discomfort that causes you. So that's an enforced regime, because you know if you go outside of that, you suffer. And interestingly enough, as you are introducing things, you're finding enjoyments in a different way.
Very true.
Which, and while it's been enforced, and it's sort of like, I know that I'm drawing a long bow, but you'll get it. It's like the enforced thing with the COVID-19. We're having to find different things, and that's what you're finding. And it changes relationships, you know, seeing that. And you know, it's also a very interesting dynamic.
It's something we should talk about from a mental health perspective on another podcast, is about food intolerances in general, because they are limiting, but it's how you view it. And people have said to me, oh, you poor thing, you can't eat this. And I'm like, no, you got no idea. Not eating that is the most liberating thing I can do. It is fantastic to know that I can't eat that. But as I've managed to reintroduce things like strawberries, I can't sit down and eat a punnet of strawberries. So I will take one, maybe two on a good day, and I will love those 2 strawberries like they are just, you know, my knights in shining armor. They've turned up to enrich my life, and that's my new relationship with food, is eating things for health and nutrition and things that I enjoy, that I can tolerate. But when I do eat them, I'm grateful for the fact that I can.
Yeah, so. And it's like that because I work with a lot of people with IBS and Crohn's and you know, that sort of field with the mind-gut connection. And so, you know, while my specific area is the mind-gut connection and, you know, the research that happens within that, I've had to learn a lot about tolerances, intolerances and all the rest, and the differentiation between what potentially is happening on the inside, whether it's a physical reaction to a food or is it an emotional. And it's a bit like the chicken and egg. That's a whole new session anyway. But within that, when I've got clients that are starting to reintroduce foods, once we've dealt with the anxiety and the stress, which can take anything from how long's a piece of string? I don't know. And when they're reintroducing, I've got one client, she probably will listen to this as well. And I said, she just doesn't have anxiety anymore. She's like she's got an elephant stamp on every part, this girl. But she loves mangoes, loves them, but she has a physical reaction. So she actually has an intolerance to mangoes. So it will bring on a bit of a reaction on the IBS. And I said, doesn't matter how much hypnotherapy we do there, that's a physical reaction, your body responding to something you've ingested. And she's so far along the track. She's been with me for about 18 months now. I said, my wish for you is that you could eat a mango over a day and not have, because she knows she can have a little bit and she won't get a reaction. And now if she just goes, oh, I had a half a mango like this, because she just can't help herself. And I said, and she said, yes, I laugh a lot now. Which is great.
Well, I had the Doritos garlic bread biscuits. I love the smell of them, and because they're full of oil, I can't eat them. But I had one this morning, just one. And
Did you lick it?
I didn't lick it. No, I just ate. And I was like, oh, these taste so much like garlic bread. And garlic bread's something that I've not eaten in 5 years, 6 years. So it's been a long time. But the biscuits. And so I had one, and I just enjoyed it, and that's it. So that's been a great podcast to come back with.
Look, thank you for throwing that on us.
I told you you'd love it. I just feel like, because I haven't been in the office, I've not been able to keep you on your toes. So
am I a ballerina now?
Yes. That's what we should say. After Sandy lost all of the weight, she became a ballerina. No, not quite.
No, more, I was better at karate.
Yeah, karate. There's not more of it. There's balance and movement there. So
it's all right. You just had to practice harder when there was more of me.
That's probably very true too. So it was lovely to have you all back on board, and we hope you've loved this topic. Of course, we want to hear from you. Don't forget to go to the Facebook page, Mind Matters with Sandy and Kathleen, and you can listen to this you can watch the video. If you're listening to the podcast, you can watch the video on YouTube. Could think of the name of that thing. What's that video thing called? YouTube. And if you're watching us on YouTube, you can listen to this on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify. I don't know who else is there. Somebody else. I don't know.
Kath, you do this so well.
Oh yeah, I know. It's so polished, such a professional as well. It's this is what you get if you come to counselling with us. You get real people. Look, I haven't brushed my hair, so
I put makeup on today. It was exciting.
This has been a big day.
It has been.
So we'll catch you all next time, I suppose. And until then, have a good think about that relationship that you've got with food. Good, bad? Is it a toxic relationship? And if you haven't heard about the toxic relationships and creating drama, go back and listen to that podcast and then apply it to food. There's your homework this week. And we will come back to you soon with more exciting topics. Catch you later, guys.